indeed, you could not even have the card if you didn't want to, and the piece that is mounted on here actually makes its own card. But it is a delightful little card, and it will stand erect, but you can open it fully like so, and because you have that base there, it will stand like that. So it would be a mantle pleaser, as they say, or you could have it on your side table, your dresser, and I think that's really nice. It isn't very difficult to make. It honestly is not difficult to make, and it came together very quickly. Now, I've kept mine rather subdued. I decided that the holographic card and the papers, as well as the delightful image of the house mouse, were enough for this card. So I just let the papers speak for themselves. But you could go crazy if you wanted with this card. And in fact, if I did it again, I might just do that. So if you would like to learn how to make the 4-fold flip card yourself, then stick with me and I'll show you how. Sam's tutorial for this card called for a 6x6 card blank, but I want to make mine at a 5x5. So I've just adjusted the measurements to suit mine. And for that, I've cut a piece of card that is 10 by 10. This is the American Craft card. And a piece for my card blank, which is cut at 10 by 5. And with every 10 by 5 card blank, it's just a matter of scoring down the middle at 5 inches. And it's going to be a 10th-fold card. So that means it's going to open like that. So, like a tent. The other piece, the 10 by 10, is going to have the same measurements on each side. So they're going to be 2 3/4. So we're going to score 2 3/4. Just turn the card and score again at 2 3/4. And again. All the scorings that we need to do. So now, instead of this being a 5 by 5 piece here, it's going to be 4 1/2 instead. Burnish these score lines. And another important thing with this card is to be sure that we remove those score lines. So that little bump that you're going to come across when you go to cut. I don't know if you can see, but there's always a little bump there from where the card has been scored and those fibers have been pushed up. And so that means we're going to make sure that we cut those away. And when it comes to our mat, we're also going to reduce that by just a little bit so that these pieces are not going to catch as we fold it. So this is, as I said, a 4-fold flip card. So it's going to require that it's free to move back and forth. Right, so there is our card. So now I need scissors. And what we're going to do is remove each of these 4 corners. And what I want to do to get that score mark out of there, I'm going to cut on the left side when I go up, and then I'll cut on the right side from this position, and then that will take that completely out. Okay, so, and that's only because, I mean, you could start and go right and then left, but this is just because I'm probably more used to that. So that little sort of lip or bump is now attached to this piece of card that we will be removing. So you can go here to the right and take that out. Now at some point, if you find when you go to test it out and it's catching, then you can always go back and just clip out what might, like, as for example this one here, I notice it's got a little I have the mats and layers all prepared. For the mats, I'm using the Dovecraft holographic cardstock, and the papers are from Grace Taylor's, from an old paper pad that I had of Grace's. And I also have a piece of white cardstock, which is going to be used in the center here, so that we can have either a sentiment, or we can do stamping. You can even write a message on there. The pieces that you need are for this layer here. This is going to be 4 by 4, and the mat that goes behind it is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Then you have 8 of these that measure 4 1/8 by 2 1/2. And remember, I said before about we need to be sure that this is cut just a bit shy of where we would normally cut it, so that it doesn't catch on here. And as I said, we need 8 of those, and then the papers, we need 8 of these as well, and these are 2 1/4 by 3 7/8. Again, taking that little bit off, that 1/8 of an inch away. And also, because I have a paper that has an obvious direction, I want to be sure that I have 4 of them that are cut to go in this direction, and 4 that are cut for that direction. Or you could use different papers for perhaps the top and the bottom, and then the 2 sides. And that's going to go on the front of the card as well. Because I've got this near cardstock, it's quite slippery, and so I don't want to use my liquid glue on there, because this is a non-porous surface, so it's just going to slide around on there. So instead, I'm going to use a tape runner, or you could use double-sided tape as well. So I'm going to get these mats and layers together, and then